Good morning, everyone. How you doing out there in Final Cut TV land? Another Saturday. This is Final Cut TV and Coffee number 80. 80. We're going to be starting 2 years in, I think, January, something like that. Look at that. Thank you very much. Always good to get the old thumbs up. Subscribe to the viewer count. First comment this morning from our good friend, Sean Beckner. Good evening, good morning, depending on where you're calling from, watching from. I didn't really mean calling. Nobody's calling. We got a lot of people watching. Wow, excellent. You know, the more these people, you come in here and watch this, you encourage me to keep doing it. That works fantastic. Good morning and afternoon. Good morning. It's just barely past morning here. I'm drinking my second cup of coffee. Netherlands, absolutely. And our good friend Yari, good evening from Helsinki, Finland. Yari, are you going to come to the summit this year by any chance? Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. I know it's expensive, but it always has been expensive. Even last year, when it was only $2.99 for the main ticket, you still have to get a hotel room and stuff. We'll talk about that in a little bit. First, we're going to talk about this impending iPhone event, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Pro and Pro Max, that's what I'm interested in. I have the iPhone 15, and I'll be keeping this for sure. I'm not going to trade it in. This is a great camera. I like it for a lot of reasons. The USB-C port is one of the main reasons, and also it shoots Apple ProRes LOG, which is absolutely my favorite codec to shoot on iPhones now. So I'm keeping my iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I'll be getting the iPhone 16 Pro Max because, well, I will be getting it. I need 2 cameras most of the time. I even got a holster that holds 2 cameras now. I have one on my side. Last year's iPhone 15 Pros got 2 nice surprises. The ability to add external SSD. Yes, Apple Log at first saved me a lot of money as I don't have to buy the 1 terabyte, and Log does improve the videos. It's a great codec. I really, really like the Apple Log for a lot of reasons. Look, I got an ad for TD Bank. Let me skip that. There we go. I wanted to share something with the group who likes to use motion VFX plugins. Dylan John just released a video with 20% discount code. It's good from 4 more days. Code is Dylan John, I believe. So, you know what? Not only does he have a discount code, Dylan John, I know Dylan. I've known him for years. I met him at NAB 3 years ago, and I've run into him multiple times. He released, hands down, the best, what do you call that layer you put over top of clips to affect clips underneath of it? I forget what it's called. Adjustment layer. He released the best adjustment layer I have ever seen, and I had no idea that you could do the things that he did in that adjustment layer from his site. Oh, that you're talking about Dylan John. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking with the wrong Dylan. I'm getting my Dylans mixed up. Dylan John. Okay, Dylan John discount code. Good for 4 more days. Dylan John, I believe. Yeah, I met Dylan John at NAB. I met Dylan John and the other Dylan, the Final Cut Bro, at the exact same time. I was leaving NAB 3 years ago, I think, 2.5 years ago. And Dylan John called out to me. He said, "Hey, Richard Taylor," as I was leaving, those 2 guys were coming in, and we met at that point. Then we met at the Super Meet. I think it was the same year. So Dylan John, you're talking about, absolutely. Give him some love. Go over there and buy his plugins. I wonder what surprises they have for us with the 16 models. I think all the surprises have been leaked, haven't they? Haven't they been leaked for the most part? I think most of them have. They might have a few other surprises. The other Dylan, exactly. I'm sorry, I got them mixed up. But since we're Dylan John, absolutely go get his plugins. They're 15% off, 20% off discount code over there at Motion VFX. But Dylan, Final Cut Pro just released an adjustment layer plugin for free. You can get it for free, or you can pay him if you want to. It has so many more features in it than any adjustment layer I've ever seen. And I'm really surprised that nobody else has put out a sophisticated adjustment layer like this. It has a whole bunch of different things, sharpness, and I don't even remember all the things. I think there's color controls inside there. So it's much more. It's called Adjustment Layer Plus. Adjustment Layer Plus. When you install it, it doesn't install under Final Cut Bros group. It just says Adjustment Layer. So keep that in mind. Dylan Bates, that's it, Dylan Bates. Yeah, I met them both at the same time. I call them 2 Final Cut Pro Dylans. I met Dylan John. He called out to me at NAB, and Dylan Bates was with him. So I met both of them, the Final Cut Pro Dylans, at the exact same time 2.5 years ago at NAB. I was leaving. It was in the morning. They were coming in, and we sat and we talked for a little bit. I had that video somewhere. Yeah, but Dylan Bates released a free adjustment layer that's really, really cool. I don't know why nobody else has done what he's done, but they haven't. So let me move that over a little bit, just a tad, get it adjusted there. So we have, it's not unusual. The reason that I mentioned the iPhone event and an update to Final Cut Pro, we're going to go over the reasons that I talked about that specifically. Last year, is it last year? Let me see if it was last year. Maybe it was the year before. Let me check my notes here. They'll have to update because they're in the cloud. I'm checking my notes for today's show. It'll take a minute. It will take a minute. In the meantime, please. So there's three. We can't hear you here in Taiwan. Why can't you hear me? I have audio. Audio is fine. Good coffee morning, hand pink waving, Richard. Good morning, Ernest. Glad you could join us. Let me see. The audio's there. The audio's on the feed. I can see it in the thing. Check your settings and see what's going on. I don't know why they'd be banning my audio in just in Taiwan. Check your settings, 4Cs, one family. Yeah, I don't know why. It's. I can see it registering on my screen, and I'll go over to my live stream and just check that real quick. Let me just check that real quick and see what's going on. It's definitely on. Let me just turn that down real quick. Let me just check one thing, though. You reminded me. I always forget to do this. Where is that speaker icon? There it is. No, that's good. That's good. Let me just check. We hear you now. There you go. Yeah, I don't know what that was. 4Cs, one family says, we hear you now. Good. Sound is good in Arizona. Here, audio is okay. Yeah, it's registering, and I just checked on the live stream, and I saw it, so we're good there. Some strange things happening here in Taiwan. Well, there you go. Sometimes glitches. I mean, I get glitches all the time. Thanks. You're more than welcome. I'm glad you could join us from Taiwan. So, yeah, the next event, Monday, they changed it from Tuesday to Monday. The iPhone event, it's called something, I forget what it's called. And there's been, and it's strange, but there's been Final Cut Pro updates around the iPhone event. There's been Final Cut Pro updates around the iPhone event. There's also been Final Cut Pro updates around the Apple Mac event, which is happening in October. So the iPhone event is next Monday. That'll be the new iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, and I'll get one regardless. I don't care. As long as they improve the video some way, I'll be buying one. Then I'll relegate my iPhone 15 Pro Max to the B cam, to my B cam, absolutely. And I'll keep my iPhone 16 Pro Max as my main cam. Now, I won't carry both of these with me all the time. There's no reason to. I'll carry my 16, and I'll have it for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, which is fantastic. We're going to go over the details about that in 1 minute. 1 minute. Let's go over the details. I'll go over some of those details now. So, Final Cut Pro in 2024. Final Cut Pro in 2024. Final Cut Pro, there we have Final Cut Pro, and then we have Final Cut iPad. Both of those have been updated in 2024. This is what we've seen with Final Cut Pro updates around the Apple events and around the iPhone events. They've updated Final Cut Pro around both of those events. So the Final Cut Pro 10.5 came out November the 12th. The 2022 Apple Mac event with the first Apple Silicon M1 Macs. For that Apple event, they updated Final Cut Pro to 10.5. 1 year later, October the 18th, 2021, Final Cut Pro 10.6 was released. Once again, it was an update to Final Cut Pro around the Apple event. Apple Mac event with M1 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros. Once again, a Final Cut Pro update around an Apple event. This is what they said when it came out. Edit videos recorded on iPhone 13 in cinematic mode. Then last year, September the 19th, 2023, we got Final Cut Pro 10.6.9. That's 3 Apple events that Final Cut Pro has been updated around. This is the last one last year. This is why I think they may do it again. Final Cut Pro 10.6.9, September the 19th, 2023. Final Cut Pro 10.6.9 includes the following enhancements. Take advantage of the flexibility dynamic range of log encoded video shot on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. So that is last year. 1 year ago, they updated Final Cut Pro to coincide with the iPhone event. iPhone 16, don't know. We don't know if they will update Final Cut Pro for the iPhone event, but they could. They also could update it for the Apple event, the Mac event that's coming in October. One of those 2 times, they could absolutely update Final Cut Pro. One of those 2 events based on last year and the years before. Obviously, to be continued. To be continued. That's why I'm saying, will we see Apple updating Final Cut Pro at this Apple event? I experienced a bug in 10.8.1 when exporting a earlier export. It wasn't replaced in the previous file and finished too quickly, more like not sharing. Not a crasher, huh? It didn't replace it. That's interesting. Just bought my first plugin ever for Final Cut Pro based on your recommendation of Dylan's adjustment layer plugin. Watching his streams cost me money, but purchases have been well spent. There you go. We made a sell for Dylan adjustment layer. Absolutely. It's really, as long as adjustment layers have been out, I've never seen anybody add all the features that Dylan Bates, the Final Cut Pro, put in his adjustment layer. I've never seen, he has a lot of different things in there. And I was really surprised that you can do that to adjustment layer. Workaround, delete the previous export manually. Well, that's great. I'm glad you got a workaround for that. So I posted people have been complaining for years about render files disappearing between starts of Final Cut Pro. So you render a section, you come back, it's unrendered. That is aggravating, very aggravating. I don't render that much. I don't leave automatic rendering on, never. Turned that off a long time ago. If I want a section of the timeline rendered, I'll set an in and an out point, export that section I want rendered, export that video clip, go get the video clip, and then drag it back into Final Cut over top. That will stay. That will not be deleted when you open and close Final Cut Pro. That's also a workaround, of course. Absolutely a workaround. So let's go over here. I want to do this. Look at that. So here are the announcements that we got from the Apple events, some of them.
All of our Pro apps are universal. And today we're launching some exciting updates with new features and even faster performance on M1 Pro and M1 Max. In Final Cut Pro, video analysis for the new object tracking feature is up to 5 times faster.
You can.
So that was, I think, 2020 or 2021, I forget, but they updated Final Cut Pro at the Apple Mac event. It's a very typical time to update Final Cut Pro. We have an Apple Mac event coming up in October, so if they don't update it around the iPhone, and the reason I say the iPhone is this. Let me turn this down. Because they did it last year. Last year, for the iPhone event in September, they updated Final Cut Pro to 10.6.9 for the iPhone. No, that's kind of unusual, but they did it last year, and I expect the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max are going to have some AI features. Everybody knows that. Maybe it's going to be updated for Vision Pro spatial video recording on the new iPhone 16 Pro Max. Maybe they'll update Final Cut Pro to tie in with the 16. If they don't update it for the 16, for the iPhone 16, and it would probably be 10.8.2, something like that. If they don't update it for the iPhone, well, hold on to your horses. You got the iPhone event in October as well. And they could have updated for that. And then hold on to your horses again because you have the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in November. Now, who in the heck knows what their numbering system's going to be? It could be 10.8.2. They could be 10.8.5. They could jump to 10.9. Or they could jump to Final Cut Pro 11. But I don't know which one of these events would be most likely to be Final Cut Pro 11. I suspect it would be at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, because last year they gave us Final Cut Pro 10.7 at the Summit. 6 months later, they updated to Final Cut Pro 10.8, and they could jump to 11 at the Summit, but we don't know. The numbering system is all over the place. Numbering system is all over the place. So you know what's really cool? We got over 50 people watching live right now. Let me see what the breakdown is. Yeah, a lot of people from between Facebook, YouTube, and X. We got 50, 60 people watching live, which is really cool because this is the end of the summer vacation in the U.S. This is typically a slow time, but it's not this week, so that's fantastic. Look at that. A lot of people watching. It's really, when I do these live streams, I enjoy doing them. I have this upstairs studio. I have a bigger downstairs studio. It used to be my recording studio, but I'm transitioning it into a video production studio, or a video editing studio, I should say. 10.8.1 also has a new frame rate conforming option, maybe in 10.8.2 using machine learning. Yeah, you mean the slow motion, the machine learning slow motion? Is that what you're talking about? They've done a better job with conforming the slow motion stuff. Now let me see something. Why is that? Let me just do this. Just adjusting my frame. There we go. Now I'll lock it. Fantastic. So we're going to get some updates to Final Cut Pro this fall. Either at the iPhone event, around the iPhone 16 Pro, and or the Apple Mac event where they're going to have all the M4s coming out, probably a 16-inch M4, which I'll probably be interested in for my MacBook Pro, maybe a new Mac Studio M4, maybe a new iMac M4, maybe the Mac Mini's been getting a lot of attention recently, a new M4. Oh, he says no. Frame rate from 2398 to 5996. Gotcha. That's interesting. I didn't know that wasn't there before. I did not know that wasn't there before. One of the things that I discovered when I've been filming, as a matter of fact, I'll play the film and then we'll talk about it. Let me finish this up. This is another little from one of the Apple events.
Edit up to 30 streams of 4K ProRes video in Final Cut Pro, or up to 7 streams of 8K ProRes. And video editors can now color grade in HDR on 8K ProRes 4x4 video on battery when they're miles away from the edit bay.
So that's just one of the Apple presentations when they were introducing Macs. They introduced a new version of Final Cut. That's a very typical time. The iPhone event is not typical. It is not typical. They did it last year, though. They did it in 2023. They had a Final Cut Pro update right at the iPhone event. Final Cut Pro was updated at the iPhone event. So that was unusual, but since they did it last year, they certainly could do it again this year because the iPhone 16 is supposed to be a big deal as well, as far as video goes. Let's go over here real quick. I'm going to pull this up. Let me see what I have here. So this is, I did this week talking about, oh, then you know what this is? This is my backyard. This is where you typically look out the window and see my backyard. This is the view that you normally see on the live stream. I was just out there. That's not what I wanted to show you, but let me pull what I want up. Here we go. Huh. Oh, you know what? I didn't put it up there. That's why it's not there. I did not put the video that I want up there, so I got to pull it over. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. Okay, there it is. I got it. Good morning from Jamaica. Sony just released a new camcorder. Amazing. It seemed as if the manufacturer has given up. I'm going to take a close look around the PXWZ2200, especially because of its streaming function. Yeah, I like those little handy cam form factors. But you know what? This is always with me, and the quality is absolutely superb. So I'm saving for an iMac Pro. If it does not come, no worry. If it comes, I will be interested, especially if it has a rumored mini LED screen. Hope to have Thunderbolt 5 and target disk mode. They're going to make a new They're going to make a new iPad Pro. I don't care what anybody says. They're going to make a new iPad Pro. Not iPad Pro, iMac Pro. And they're going to make a bigger screen iMac. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop at the 27-inch. Not when what was the last one? What was it, 31 or 32 inches, the big one? They'll have another one. And I think they'll have the iMac Pro, maybe with this M4. That could be one of the surprises. Let me go over here again. So I filmed this week. Let me just pull this up. Talking about the 3 events that I expect for the rest of 2024. Hey everyone, my name's Richard Taylor, and I'm coming to you from the East Coast of the good old USA. There's 3 major things to us Final Cut Pro enthusiasts that are happening for the rest of 2024. We have the iPhone 16 Pro Max event happening first. That's in September. For the last year or 2 years, Apple has updated Final Cut Pro around the iPhone launch event. So we could see an update to Final Cut Pro, maybe for the Vision goggle thing, spatial video editing that Apple promised was coming in 2024. So there's a possibility we'll see an update to Final Cut Pro around the iPhone 16 Pro event. So that's the first thing. The second thing for Final Cut Pro people like ourselves, the Apple M4 Mac event, which is happening in October. There's going to be maybe a new M4 iMac, maybe a new M4 16-inch MacBook Pro. I don't know what they're doing with the Studio. Maybe an M4 Studio will come out, Mac Studio. I've heard rumors of a brand new redesigned M4 Mac Mini, all big Macs. They're certainly going to run Final Cut Pro a lot faster. Yeah, so that I just did that video this week, quick video, talking about the 3 Apple events that there could be. They're all probably going to affect Final Cut Pro. The iPhone 16 Pro, the new M4 Max in October. Absolutely, they're going to just Final Cut's going to just fly on those, as you can imagine. And then the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in November the 13th to the 15th. Yes, I edit projects, as I'm excited about the September 9th event. I am too, because I'll be ordering the iPhone 16 and I'm keeping my 15, so I'll have 2 phones. Next year, I'll sell my 15 Pro Max and I'll get the 17 and the 16. I'll keep I'll keep 2 years of iPhones. They're too good. And I don't buy them because of the phone. I don't text on this or anything. Thank you for watching. Another thumbs up. Fantastic. Thank you for tuning in and adding to the view count. We appreciate it. I love the phones, but I only buy them when they improve the video quality. New lenses, new cameras, new codecs. Apple ProRes LOG is phenomenal. Another thumbs up. Thank you very much. It's appreciated. But anyway, I'll bring it to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. With Apple focusing on being CO2 neutral in 2030, it would make sense that the iMac Pro could be used as a standalone monitor when it down the line becomes too slow, the line for the Pro people. There you go. You mean with the target disk mode. I think that's what you're talking about. Absolutely. The new Sony, not a mini handheld camera, it's a full-function pro camera with XL inputs and 20 times zoom. The iPhone can work for ENG and other applications. Sometimes only a pro camera will do. No, I know. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these are on the same quality level as a pro camera, because this, as good as this is, and it really is good, these are just incredibly good. It's not as good as my Lumix S5 Mark IIX, which shoots 6K video, and it doesn't log and stuff, and I have pro audio. No, it's not, but it's pretty darn good. And this, I always have this with me. I don't have my Lumix, for example. I thought about keeping my iPhone 13 Pro Max 1 terabyte, but I'll probably sell it and upgrade to the 16 Pro Max. USB-C versus the Lightning. I hated the way they held on to the Lightning connector for year after year after year. It was just complete, utter nonsense. The Lightning connector is USB 2 speeds. That's how the data was transferred if you use that. Of course, you can also use AirDrop and stuff, which is faster, but the USB, which lets you use SSD drives, and Apple ProRes LOG, it's a game changer. Now, I don't use the Apple version of it, which is ProRes HQ. I usually shoot my Blackmagic camera app and shoot an H.264 or H.265 Apple log in both of those. I don't like being restricted to just one flavor the way that Apple has. Only thing Apple has with log is Apple ProRes LOG HQ. It's a very high data rate. High quality, but also a high data rate. Very high data rate. Let's go back to the movies a second. Finish this up. So that's the second thing, the Apple event in October. The big thing that's happening, the biggest Final Cut Pro event in the world, is happening in November the 13th through the 15th in Cupertino, California. It's my favorite Final Cut Pro event of the year. And we're back at the Juniper Hotel, which is a perfect place for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. November the 13th through the 15th. On Wednesday the 13th, we are going to Apple Spaceship Campus to get a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team. That's a great, great opportunity. Last year at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, we went to the Spaceship Campus. We got a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team, and they introduced Final Cut Pro 10.7 to the world. We got the debut in person right there at Apple campus. That's quite an experience. Number one, going to Apple campus. We went inside the Spaceship Campus and we did tours around the outside of the Spaceship Campus. Yes, so it was a phenomenal experience. Now, they don't let you take professional cameras, and you're not supposed to take pictures inside the Apple campus, even with your phone. Now, there's a reason for that. It's for the privacy. Let me just pull this up. It's for the privacy of their employees. They don't want you taking pictures of their employees walking around and stuff. However, let's go here. Let me see. Do I have that? Oh, here we go. I asked permission to take one photograph. I asked permission to take one photograph at the Apple presentation, and it's this one. Now, this is the two Bill Davises. I asked permission before I took it. This is inside Apple Spaceship Campus, inside the room where we had the presentation from the Final Cut Pro team. Now, the Bill Davis on the left is the guy that's in charge of Final Cut Pro. He's like, as a matter of fact, I have his card here. Let me just see what his actual title is. Do I have it here? Yeah. So I have his card right here. His actual title is Product Marketing Manager, Apple Final Cut Pro and ProRes. So he's the product marketing manager for Final Cut Pro and ProRes. He's the main man for the Final Cut Pro team. He's the person I asked permission. Can I take a picture? The other one is my friend Bill Davis that I've known forever, and we've been on live streams together. And I always made a joke that I never saw both Bill Davises in the same place at the same time. So they were both there, and I said, can I take a picture? He goes, yes, go ahead. This is inside the room. It's just a kind of a normal room where they showed us Final Cut Pro 10.7. We got the debut for the world. For the world, and in the world. Is log as in logarithmic? How does that differ? I'm unfamiliar with it. It gives you a lot more leeway for grading. Just like when you're shooting regular camera and they shoot log on a regular camera, it's the same thing, but it's on an iPhone. So it's one of the things it does when you shoot on an iPhone. The typical iPhone video is a little bit over sharpened and a little bit higher contrast and a little bit oversaturated. Not over, but it's highly saturated. And it looks good. I mean, those things, a little bit of sharpening, a little bit of higher contrast, a little bit over saturating make the video looks good. But you can't take that out once it's done. The log doesn't add any of that when you're shooting on an iPhone. And it shoots a flat profile that you can apply a LUT to. As a matter of fact, Apple makes a LUT specifically for shooting Apple log. They make their own LUT that you can apply in post in Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve, whatever. They should have killed Lightning when they added ProRes to the Pro model. I did not upgrade my iPhone until they released the 15 Pro and Pro Max, as Lightning was way too slow. It absolutely was. I just really disliked Lightning. So I buy a new iPhone every year, so I did get the 14. What's holding up? Text-based editing. The Final Cut Pro team can probably code that function in their sleep. It is a legal issue, licensing issue. Macs already will transcribe your speech in real time. No, I don't think it's a legal issue. I mean, all the other NLEs have it. Avid has it. Premiere has it. DaVinci Resolve. They've all had it for a year and a half. It's not legal. It's just fitting it into their schedule and fitting it into the way Final Cut Pro operates. Now, things may change when they finally release Final Cut Pro 11, which might be at the Creative Summit, but we don't know. Their naming convention is just all out the window. This is their naming convention now with Final Cut. What? You go from Logic Pro 10.8.1 to Logic Pro 11 in 6 months? You go from Final Cut Pro 10.7 to Final Cut Pro 10.8 in 6 months? It's just all... who in the heck knows what their naming convention is? It's not important. I suspect when Final Cut Pro 11 comes out, it's going to be maybe rewritten from the ground up again. Pull my chair a little closer. Rewritten from the ground up again. So I have a screen on my camera, which I'm shooting with, that I can see if I'm in focus or not. So I'm in focus, and the background's a little bit blurry. Yeah. That's the way I like it. That was informative and helpful talking about Apple Log. Absolutely. I'm glad to help. Glad to help. So let's do give accolades to the Final Cut Pro team. They watch this live stream. This is the live stream that they watch. Thank you for joining us, Apple Final Cut Pro team. I have no idea what they're doing for this fall, but I know there's going to be at least one update, if not 2 updates. They could do one update, smaller update around the iPhone or the Mac event, and then save the big update for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, which it's a great event. It is a great event. If there's any way you can afford to come over to the United States and visit Cupertino, California. I know it's expensive. You got to get a hotel. You got to pay for the actual event. You got to get food and stuff. It's well worth it. It's really, really worth it. I'd love to see a content-aware cleanup tool added to Final Cut Pro. It'd be nice to remove objects from short video clips. The more I look at DaVinci Resolve, the more jealous I am. Being a Final Cut Pro is my primary editor. DaVinci Resolve has so much stuff that I wish Final Cut. I mean, text-based editing, and then you can make captions from the text that you got. They have a super scaler where you can supersize your video from standard def to HD, for example, built in. They have some kind of a video cleanup section. They have their voice isolation has 5 different sliders to it, not just ones. Well, the voice isolation has one, but there's one called the dialogue something that has 4 additional sliders. It has ambience, reverb, background noise, and you can choose which version, and it has voice and mixed in there. you can choose, you don't have to choose everything. You can choose different ones. So if it was noisy, but there was a little bit of reverb, you wanted it to stay, you could just remove the background and leave the reverberation a little bit in so it's more realistic and not so dry. Does the Final Cut Pro FMC Final Cut Pro tickets include hotel stay? No, it does not. No, it does not. It's $5.99. It's just for the 3 days. You go into Apple Campus. How else can you go see Apple Campus? You can't buy a ticket. You can't buy a ticket to go there. That's not a thing. But you can go and meet with the Final Cut Pro team, and maybe they're going to have a Q&A again this time, like they've had every year since I've been going to them, since 2016. Besides getting a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team, we also get a Q&A where we have a sit down and we can ask the Final Cut Pro team questions one-on-one. They're in the hot seat. They'll get a block rate for the hotels if you want to stay at the Juniper Hotel. Right now, the block rate's not up yet, but they will be. I hope version 11 will utilize the processors better than the current version. The current version makes more use of the encoders, and they are the same in all versions from M1 to M4. Apart for the added 8K encoders in the M4 SoCs, silicon and chips. I've got tens of thousands of hours working in Final Cut Pro. I'm just not interested in long learning curve to match my current editing speed. Are you talking about DaVinci Resolve? It doesn't take that long. It's DaVinci Resolve that you're talking about. I go back and forth. Once you know how to edit, you don't have to relearn that for different things. I like DaVinci Resolve. I like it a lot. It's a lot more sophisticated than Final Cut Pro. It's a lot more sophisticated than Final Cut Pro. It has many, many, many more tools. Text-based editing, auto captions. Like I said, their voice isolation is not just one slider. They have that. They have 3 or 4 additional sliders you can pick and choose. It's a lot more sophisticated. Of course, it has DaVinci Resolve Color, which is a professional Hollywood level coloring suite that it has. It has Fusion. It has Fairlight. Now, I don't even go to these other places. I stay on the edit page. That's all I'm really interested in at this point. And I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying I enjoy it. I enjoy Final Cut as my main NLE because it's quick. I can jump in and I'm the same way. I have 20-some years in Final Cut Pro. So it's one I grab first. Plus, I have thousands of plugins. Hundreds of plugins with thousands of different presets and stuff. So I'm not going to rebuy those for DaVinci Resolve. I have a lot of those, and I use those for different videos and things. So I like DaVinci Resolve a lot. The Final Cut Pro team mentioned DaVinci Resolve last time. What's the learning curve for Premiere if you're an experienced Final Cut Pro user? If you use the legacy Final Cut Pro, version 6 and 7, it's very familiar to that, track-based editing. But the thing is, you don't have to relearn things from scratch. You know what a transition is. You know how to adjust audio. You know how to set keyframes. You know how to do an insert edit. You know how to do an overwrite edit. You know how to do superimposing text. You just have to learn where the stuff is. So you don't have to relearn all of that stuff. That's already ingrained. It's already ingrained for you. I have a full license for Resolve. I only export Blackmagic RAW files here and there back to Final Cut Pro. That's completely fine. That's completely fine. It's not a zero-sum game. If you edit in Final Cut, it doesn't mean you can't edit in Resolve as well. Or I bought an iPad Pro, a 13-inch iPad Pro this year, specifically for LumaFusion. That's the reason I got the iPad Pro, specifically for LumaFusion. Also, when I fly to Cupertino to the Creative Summit, I can watch my movies on a bigger screen. I download a bunch of movies. I usually download a whole series from Netflix or Amazon Prime, save them on the hard drive, and I can watch them without internet on the airplane ride. It makes my airplane ride go a lot quicker. So that won't hurt. And then the other thing is this. When I do these live streams from my hotel room, I now have a second screen with my iPhone 13 Pro Max. I mean, with my iPad Pro, I have a new screen. Because right when I do the hotel room, I got to stick to just a little 16-inch screen. Now I have a second screen. Make a big difference. That'll be very, very cool. Very, very cool. Coffee, tea? Whichever you prefer. I drink both, but I like coffee for the most part. Yeah, I got a full license. I got the studio version. It's just editing, text-based editing is phenomenal. They have a film look, a creator set of plugins. I mean, a set of parameters now you can drag and use those. Most of the tutorials show you to use those in the Fusion page. No, in the color page. Sorry, the color page. Node-based. I don't go to the color page. I don't even go to Fairlight very often. I stay in the edit page. But if you take an adjustment layer, put it over a timeline in the edit page, you can drag the film look plugin on top of the adjustment layer, and you can stay in the edit page and adjust it in their inspector. And adjust it in their inspector. So that's very, very cool. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go over here, finish this up. I expect something like that's going to happen again, although I'm not sure what version of Final Cut we're going to see. Could be Final Cut Pro 11, and the reason I say that is, last year at the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit, they introduced Logic 10.8. 6 months later, they introduced Logic Pro 11. So Final Cut Pro 10.8 came out in June. 6 months from June is around the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. So Logic Pro jumped from 10.8 to version 11 in 6 months. I think that Final Cut Pro could do the exact same thing. I think that Final Cut Pro could do the exact same thing. It could jump from Final, it's at 10.8 right now, 10.8.1. We got our bug fix in August. And it could jump to 11 since Logic did that. Logic didn't go to 10.9 and 10.10. It went from 10.8 to 11. Why wouldn't Final Cut do the same thing? They're both pro apps. They're both made by Apple. Don't know, but the possibility exists. Our friend Eric says, color page is my only reason for owning Resolve Studio. I understand. I avoid the color page. I avoid the Fusion page. I avoid Fairlight page. The only thing I spend time in is the edit page. I love Logic Pro. All my audio, I do in Logic Pro. I do basic color correction, of course. I use scopes. I do that in Final Cut. I like the color adjustments rather than the color board or the color wheels. I used to use the color wheels. Sometimes I'd use the color board. Now I used to use color adjustments. I like them a lot. That came from the iPad version, I think. If I'm not mistaken, that came from the iPad version. Speaking of Final Cut on the iPad, doesn't it seem like Final Cut Pro on the Mac and Final Cut for iPad are going in different directions? I think they're splitting up. I think they're having different feature sets for each application. Final Cut Pro will be for more hardcore professionals and like Hollywood and filmmakers and stuff. And then Final Cut for the iPad is for YouTubers and influencers and stuff. I actually like Color Finale 2 very much. They just released Color Finale 2.9, so maybe they release soon a 3.0 version that is even closer to the Resolve. Is it as sophisticated as Resolve? I mean, because Resolve's been around for a long time, and Resolve is all through Hollywood. I mean, all the Hollywood high-end films and stuff, a lot of them are color graded, corrected on DaVinci Resolve. I like Resolve's hardware, like the speed editor with mini color panels. Still trying to wrap my head around Resolve, though. I understand. Richard, how would you have Apple integrate Logic and Final Cut Pro if it's up to you? Well, I don't like command tabbing between apps. I would love it if the Final Cut Pro team did what DaVinci Resolve has done. So when you launch DaVinci Resolve, it's one, I'm going to say one app, even though it's not one app. It's one interface, but it contains the media pool page, the cut page, the edit page in Resolve. It contains Fairlight for audio, Fusion for special effects like motion, and the color page, and the export page. It has all these tabs along the bottom of the application window. One launch, and you can go back and forth between any of those, and it'll keep track of the project that you're working on. So if I'm working on the edit page and I'm doing stuff and I want to adjust audio or put something in, I can go to the Fairlight page, and Fairlight is using the audio from the edit page. And if I adjust any titles in Fusion, or I want to color adjust, sophisticated color adjustments, it's all keeping track of it. So one launch, and it has all the applications with tabs at the bottom. You don't have to export XML and import XML, and it's the wrong version of XML. XML seems like a steam locomotive to me at this point. It's been around since the beginning of Final Cut Pro. It just seems like it's really the past. The way, however DaVinci Resolve has done it, that's how I like to see. It would be great if you launch one app, Final Cut Studio, for example, and you got Final Cut Pro, and you have Logic, and you have Motion, and you have Compressor, and you just click on each tab along the bottom, and you switch between the different apps without exporting XML and importing XML, and that's the wrong version of the XML, et cetera, et cetera. Blackmagic's interface is by far the best. Many might disagree, but any color correcting grading can be done for any project within Final Cut Pro. You're not going to get that in high-end films. You're not going to get that in Hollywood. They're not going to let you color correct in Final Cut Pro. They're not going to let you do audio in Final Cut Pro either. They're going to send it out to a Pro Tools house to do the audio mixing and the sound design, and they're going to have a dedicated color correction person do the color correction, whether it's Resolve or some other thing. No film, I mean, maybe some of the low echelon films are color corrected in Final Cut. What was that one that was done in Final Cut Pro 7 a couple years ago? Yeah, I mean, but I'm talking with the high-end stuff. They all go to a specialized color person, and the audio is always mixed in Pro Tools, specialized house. I'm not saying it can't be done. I don't use Resolve for color correction. I color correct inside Final Cut Pro, but I'm not doing anything Hollywood-wise. Of course, color finale is not as popular as Resolve, and basically no one is using it, but for a plugin inside of Final Cut, it does pretty well. There's a lot of updates recently, but it's often buggy. Yeah, bugginess, I don't want to see that. Final Cut Pro Suite would be awesome. Compressor, Logic, and whatever else. Compressor, Logic, Final Cut Pro, and Motion. You forgot Motion. Motion's the stepchild. They might not let you do it, but if you did, no one would know. I understand what you're saying, but no, that's usually requirements is you have to. I mean, the color correction is a whole art by itself, a whole specific thing. Hurt Locker was edited by Walter Murch in Final Cut Pro 7. Yeah, but that was a long time ago. They've had Final Cut Pro 10 films out since then. There was one that was done in Final Cut Pro 7 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I forget what it was called, and it was at the end it said Final Cut Pro 7. That's what they're comfortable with. Yeah, of course you can still edit in Final Cut Pro 7 if you have the hardware that supports it. I do. I have a MacBook Pro. Where is that thing? It's right here. Let me pull it out for you. I have a MacBook Pro, an original MacBook Pro. Look at this. Look at this. Look how thick this is. This is an original MacBook Pro, and you know what? I have Final Cut Pro 7.0.3 on here and Final Cut Pro 10.0. Both are on this original, if you haven't seen one, the original MacBook Pro. I mean, this is incredible. I've had it all these years, so I have 10.0, Final Cut Pro 10.0, and Final Cut Pro 7.0.3. It's got a camera, it might be standard def, a little trackpad that has a click plate on it, and I got a new battery, and I replaced the hard drive to an SSD, I think, and I upgraded the storage, and I replaced the battery in it, so the battery is still up to snuff, and I have it still works. Parasite. That was it. Parasite. That's the one I'm talking about. Parasite. They edited it, and they got a bunch of awards or whatever. It was edited in Final Cut Pro 7. Bounty paper towels when Brawny will pick up the mess. Are you talking about a commercial that you got on your site, on the stream? Parasite's the one that won Best Picture a few years ago, was also edited in Final Cut Pro 7, so there you go. I keep a Mac Mini for 7. Yeah, I don't, I don't have to use 7 once in a while. Once in a while I might go back. But I think Avengers was edited in Final Cut Pro. Well, they've got a bunch of Avengers movies. I'm not sure which one you are referring to. Not sure which one you're referring to. Let's go back to this video real quick. Finish it up. It could jump from 10.8, which is where it is now, to version 11. Around the Creative Summit would be the perfect timing. They at least can give us a preview at the Creative Summit and say it's coming out at the end of November, it's coming out in December or whatever, but we'll probably see a preview at least of the next version of Final Cut Pro, whether it's 10.8.5, 10.9, but I think it very likely can be Final Cut Pro 11. Don't forget to tune in. Final Cut TV and Coffee every Saturday morning. Right now we're doing them at 12 noon Eastern Daylight Time. That's what you're watching right now, Final Cut TV and Coffee. Number 80. We've done 80 of these things. You people have joined in. I've done some work doing the live stream. There was a program called Smoke, which had several apps in one. Yeah, but Resolve is the king. Resolve has a media page, an import page. It has a cut page. It has the main edit page. It has Fairlight, which is audio, mixing board sophistication. It has the color page. It has Fusion, which is like motion, After Effects page, and it has the export page. And all of those are tabs along the main interface. It's incredible. Wish I could see my in and out points in Event Viewer. Yeah, you can do that in Resolve, you can see, and LumaFusion both. Director Sven Soderbergh shot Unsane with iPhone 7 Plus, not sure about editing. Yeah, I know he did. Yeah, that's a different discussion, isn't it? These are incredible. Apple's been shooting their events with iPhones. Now, you have sophisticated equipment. You have dollies and lenses and Pro Audio and stuff, but the main camera is still iPhone 5s. Hurt Locker was edited by Chris Ennis on Avid. There you go. Avid is probably still the king in Hollywood for editing high-end films, and that's just because they've been there forever. And it's not Avid, the NLE, that keeps them in business. It's Avid, the infrastructure. It's Avid has all the servers in place. It has Avid's all the shared media and stuff. It's not that Avid, the NLE, is so great, but it's all the extra stuff that Avid brings along. It's also the unions. The unions don't want you to be able to edit something easy. They want it to be hard and difficult. So there's a lot of reasons why Avid's still. And Avid's fine. I used Avid when I was at the National Archives for a very short period until I switched over to Final Cut. But anyway, so that's what's going on as far as that is concerned. Let's see what we have up here. Yeah, we got 43 people watching from the X platform and dozens of people from YouTube and who knows from Facebook. They don't give me a live count for some reason. They do not give me a live count. So we got, listen, this is a Final Cut Pro fall coming up. If they skip the iPhone event and they skip they're not going to skip both the iPhone and the Apple Mac event. I think we're going to see at least a small update to Final Cut Pro for one or both of those events. And I presume, the Final Cut Pro team likes to show us stuff, right? When we go to the Creative Summit, they like to come and have something big for us. So we'll see. I mean, they could do an update to Final Cut Pro at the iPhone event for the goggles, for the space, the Vision Pro. They could have some kind of an update with the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max and Final Cut Pro are based around editing spatial video. And then who knows what else? It's just up in the air. We don't know. But the idea that they're going to have something to show us at the Creative Summit, the Final Cut Pro team. But what it is, don't know. Could it be iPhone 11? I mean, Final Cut Pro 11? Absolutely. Absolutely. They could preview a version of Final Cut Pro 11, for example. They could say, here's Final Cut Pro 11. You are getting the worldwide debut, seeing Final Cut Pro 11, except for the beta team, of course. And it's coming out later this month, like they did last year, or early 2025 or whatever. I'm hoping it's built from the ground up once again on new frameworks and et cetera, et cetera. I thought Apple bought Smoke, adopted the Smooth Cam filter into the Final Cut Pro suite. I never use Smoke. I'm not even sure, was it a compositor? Is that what it was? So I have a question for you. This is just personal. I was going to watch a movie tonight, Saturday night movies. Has anybody seen Runaway Dolls? I've seen mixed reviews. for that. So, I mean, if I don't like it, I'll turn it off. But let me see what it is on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, it's Drive Away Dolls, not Runaway Dolls. Drive Away Dolls by the Coen brothers. I'm a big fan of the Coen brothers, so not Runaway Dolls, Drive Away Dolls. Has anybody seen that? I've seen mixed reviews. Let me see. Well, it's only got 5.4 out of 10. IMDb. That's not good. But I like them enough. I like them enough that I will see. I like the Coen brothers a lot, so I will go see it. Smoke is a node-based effects program. There you go. Smoke was from Autodesk and stopped developing on September the 7th, 2022. Oh, that's interesting. I have seen it. Pretty funny. Liked it. There you go. How much are Final Cut Pro updates and upgrades dependent on Mac hardware upgrades? Very dependent. Very dependent. The majority of Final Cut Pro updates, at least the ones with features, are based around two events. They're based around Apple Mac events, or they're based around the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. And the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit also has had Apple Mac events. In 2016, they had the MacBook Pro with they got rid of the numbers, the F numbers, the touch bar, MacBook Pro. They released that the day before the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. They also debuted Final Cut Pro 10.3 there, so we got to see it in person at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. They've also released other Mac. Usually the Mac stuff is updated in October. Sometimes it leaks into November. But they're always around one of those two events, typically. I'm not talking about bug fixes. I'm talking about, feature updates. Let me pull this up. Okay. Let me see what I've got here. Yeah, they pretty much, especially recently, they've been around. Okay, it's like 10.3. 10.3 came out Friday, October 28, 2016, the day before the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. 10.4, November 2018, previewed at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, released on December 17th. 10.5, November the 12th, at the Apple Mac event with the first Apple Silicon M1 Macs. So that came out in 2020 during the COVID, so we weren't in person for the Creative Summit. 10.6, October the 18th, 2021, Apple Mac event. And then Final Cut Pro 10.7 came out last year at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. So the big number Final Cut Pro feature updates are usually tied into an Apple Mac event or the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Now, last year they came out with 10.6.9 for the iPhone event. They updated Final Cut Pro to 10.6.9 for the iPhone event. So, that's why I'm saying, are they going to update Final Cut Pro for this iPhone 16 Pro Max? Because I think they're going to do something with the goggles, and spatial video on the iPhone 16 Pro. So if they do that, Apple's already said they're going to have an update to Final Cut Pro for editing spatial video for the Vision Pro in Final Cut Pro. They announced that in 2023, it's going to be out in 2024. Hasn't really shown up yet. So I'm thinking if the camera is going to do some kind of Vision Pro, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is going to do some kind of Vision Pro update where you can film better than the 15. They're probably also going to update Final Cut Pro to include the ability to edit it natively or whatever the heck they're going to do. Don't you think? The one time that they don't have updates to Final Cut Pro is around WWDC. Sometimes WWDC has hardware. The 2019 Mac Pro was announced there. I think the iMac Pro was announced at WWDC. but they don't release Final Cut Pro updates around WWDC. Smooth Cam came from buying Shake, not Smoke. See, both Shake, Smoke, I couldn't tell you what each one of those does. I can't tell you what each one of those Shake, Smoke. I remember Color. I had Color. That, but we'll have to see. I've been waiting for widescreen Apple announced during WWDC for Vision Pro. There you go. They did announce that, didn't they? I wonder if the 16 Pro models can record spatial video in 4K, as they do record their own spatial videos on dedicated 8K cameras, and the current 15 Pro only records in 1080. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, they have that dedicated immersive video camera that Blackmagic is the only one that has one, right? It's like 180 degrees. So it's almost like you're walking into the scene. And Blackmagic and Apple have worked on that together, apparently. And Blackmagic, is it out yet? It's immersive video. It's beyond spatial video. Shake was also from Apple after they bought it. Smoke is a program like DaVinci is now. Gotcha. Let's go see another movie. So one of the things that that's happening this year is we're going back to the Juniper Hotel for the Creative Summit. This was like a little quick tour. Juniper Hotel courtyard. Now this is the lobby. This is the lobby. That's Philip Hodgetts and Steve Martin. And I think just off screen is Sam Messman. And I'm not sure who this is. Is that Ian? It might be Ian Anderson. I'm not sure. But this is typical of the people that you can just run into and have coffee with and have bagels with, et cetera, et cetera. This is the lobby, the Juniper Hotel lobby.
I appreciate it. So I'm always looking for ways.
That was Ian. So I'll put a picture up. My first look. Look at this. Does anybody know who this is? Can you recognize the back of their head? Now, this person was not there for Final Cut Pro. He just happened to be there. Huh? John Cleese. Look. So this is what the Juniper Hotel lobby looks like. This is typical. So on the right-hand side are 3 rooms, and that's where the sessions are taking place during the day. 2 of those rooms, maybe there's just 2, I don't remember. Maybe there's 3. And that's where sessions will be happening during the day. But people come down to the lobby, they hang out. Sometimes there's coffee and bagels. Sometimes there's lunch, there's a spread. And you just hang out and talk to people, Final Cut Pro people. It's fantastic. All the people that you see online all the time will probably be hanging out in the lobby if they go to the Creative Summit. The Juniper is fantastic. We love the Juniper. And that because a lot of people are staying in the Juniper Hotel. You come down to the lobby. And you just meet personalities that you've seen, all year long. Myself, I'll be down there. I'll be filming, live streaming, etc. And then they take these rooms over here. They take these rooms and they turn them into one big room for the expo night. They take these rooms into one big room for the expo night. All the way down the hall, at the end of the hall, is a bar built into a bar restaurant built into the Juniper Hotel. And you can have breakfast there. It's very expensive. And you can have dinners there, hamburgers and meals and stuff. But there's a lot of restaurants right around the Juniper within walking distance. There's one hamburger place that's still there called Habit. Habit that has, glorified hamburgers. It's like In-N-Out Burger, glorified hamburgers and French fries. I go there at least once or twice to have lunch. So this is the lobby. This is the Juniper Hotel lobby. This is the best, biggest Final Cut Pro event of the year. Yes, John Cleese was doing his funny walk. I just happened to be in the lobby when I saw him, and I turned my camera on real quick. Probably my phone. It seems like a replacement for the Super Meets, which was years ago. I've been to Super Meeting in Amsterdam, I think, 4 times. The difference is the Super Meet, they used to have those. They don't have them anymore. They stopped some kind of a split between the people that were putting it on. And they haven't had, usually the Super Meets at NAB. That's where the Final Cut Pro 10 was first shown, at the Super Meet in 2011, I think. 2011. The Super Meet's different because the Super Meet is about a lot of different products. It's about this product and that product and this product and that product. The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is about one product, Final Cut Pro. Concentrated Final Cut Pro, not DaVinci Resolve and Premiere and this plugin manufacturer and this hardware manufacturer, et cetera, although they will be at the expo. As a matter of fact, in 2019, Blackmagic was at Expo Night because I stopped and talked to the young lady who was manning their booth. But this is a Final Cut Pro specific event. The Super Meet is not a Final Cut Pro specific. Do you know if Final Cut Pro Summit will offer group hotel rates? Absolutely will. They're not up yet. They will have group hotel rates. They'll be cheaper once they announce them, probably this week, I'm thinking, because it's going to be September tomorrow. Once they announce them, you can buy 1 or 2 or 3 nights at a group discount. So yes, they will. You can also, of course, stay at an Airbnb somewhere local and walk to the hotel. Nobody's going to stop you from coming into the hotel lobby. That's where everybody is. Listen, everybody doesn't go into the sessions. The sessions are very, very popular. A lot of people are there for the sessions. I'm personally not there for the sessions. I'm a trainer myself. I'm a Final Cut Pro trainer, so I know a lot of the stuff that they're teaching. But there's always something to learn. Everybody across the board has something to learn. But I'm not going there for the sessions myself. That's a bonus. I'm going there to meet the Final Cut Pro team, see their presentation, meet up with all my friends that I've been meeting with since 2016. Have dinner, bagels, coffee, breakfast, conversation. I'll be doing live streams from my hotel room. I'll be reporting live anything that's going on. I'll be filming. I probably have 30 hours of footage over the years of behind the scenes events and things. I can't film at the Apple campus. Nope, it's not allowed, which is fine. It's fine. Yeah, you're welcome. Scuba Hank, underwater. What do you film with? What kind of camera are you filming with underwater? So let's go see what else we have. Let's do another. Dylan Espers, but Chris Gabriel, lunch, quit refreshing. Let's see what else we have. Here we go. Let's look at old Mark Spencer.
What did you think about the update?
I thought it was great that that there was an update. You know, that there's progress being made, and it sounds like they're working hard, and I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah.
Always want to see more.
This is 10.7.0, not completed 10.7. This is the beginning of the 10.7 era.
Yeah, because kind of you assume, 10.7 sounds like a big thing to be like a whole bunch of big features.
Right.
And there weren't. You know, there was a couple of things. They're great. They're interesting. They're useful things. And I think we'll keep seeing more. So I'm like, stay tuned. I mean, the fact is, it's a great app. I love the app. The development process has been frustratingly slow relative to the other options in the market, but it's the best option in the market as far as I'm concerned.
You know, scrolling timeline. I was shocked when I saw that icon yesterday. The
scrolling timeline. No, I saw you. I was sitting a few rows behind you, and you did this hallelujah thing.
Give me some credit here.
It's being with all of you guys and seeing everybody in person that we just talk to online all the time.
Yes. No, and absolutely.
It's so fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's what's thrilling about it to me, is to come to this.
So there, you want to talk to Mark Spencer in person? Come to the Creative Summit. Now, I realize everybody can't come to the Creative Summit, and that's where I will fit in, because I will be streaming live in the mornings and the evenings, typically, from the hotel room. I'll gather footage, report. I'll also probably do a few live streams. What I do is I film. By then, it'll be my iPhone 16 Pro Max. I'll film on my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I'll edit in LumaFusion, because I can edit on my iPhone with LumaFusion. So I film in the iPhone, edit in the iPhone, and then I can stream that video live without the video ever leaving my phone. Now, that's something that Final Cut for iPad doesn't have. You can't edit on a phone, but LumaFusion, you can. And it's very surprisingly effective. Scuba Hank says GH5 and a Nauticam housing. Now, I'm using a GH5 right now. I'm streaming with my GH5. For years I had the GH4 up there, but now that I got the Lumix S5 Mark IIX as my main camera, I'm going to probably sell the GH4, and I've switched to my GH5 up there. I'm a big fan of Panasonic cameras. I've had Sony and I have one Canon, but I'm a big fan of the Lumix lineup right now. I mean, the Lumix S5 Mark IIX shoots in 6K. 6K, you can shoot in log, and you have all the options for pro audio and stuff. By the way, let me tell you something. I've ordered 3 new microphones for my DJI Mic 2 system. And as satisfied as I've been with this fantastic system, the Mark II, the DJI Mic 2, I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to try some microphones. So I've already tried one lapel with this, because I filmed something the other day and I wasn't quite satisfied with the audio quality of this mic. But so I've got 3 new mics coming that I'm going to try out, and I'll do just a quick test in my downstairs studio, and I'll film it and see what people think about the sound. Now, here's the thing. I've been watching influencers talk like this, holding the DJI mic in front of their faces. And I've been making fun of them and stuff. But to be honest with you, I know why they do it. It sounds a lot better. It sounds a lot better being held in front than being held down here. it sounds better. The microphone's in better placement and it just sounds better. So you might see me doing that in the future. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't look professional, but if the sound's better, I'm going to do it. Now, here's my point. I have one lapel mic that I have in here. It's a Hollyland lapel. And I like the Hollyland because it has the right angle jack. So you can do the jack and go under the, you can do the jack in right angle and go under the clip so it stays in place. This is a little quirky mic that works really, really well. It just plug it in and it stands. And I know it looks kind of weird, like an antenna. I'll do it up here or something. But the quality's pretty good. So you can actually do this, talk with this, and it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, the quality, I think it's a little better than what the built-in mic is. So between the Hollyland and this, I ordered another one of these. These are really old. Just for a little better audio quality, get it better placement. I think the placement's as much as anything. And I'm going to start using one of these when I do interviews and stuff. So you might see me at the Creative Summit with this, holding this. Yeah, like a Bob Barker long stem mic. That's correct. But the thing is, if it wasn't better quality, I wouldn't use it. But my initial testing is it is better quality than the built-in mic. Now, once again, I understand now why people are doing this. I understand it's because the quality of the audio is better. So unfortunately, you might see me doing this as well, rather than down here somewhere. Now, what I'll probably do though is I'll use the lapel. I'll put this in my pocket and run the Hollyland, the mic up closer up here or something, and get it closer to the mouthpiece. We'll see. I'll test it out. I know I have, Chris, I have the handle for the DJI mic capsule, but I have the Rode one. I have the handle and the windscreen that I have it, but it's got a big DJI logo on it. So I'll use that as well. But the thing is, I have a Sennheiser MKE 600 that I use when I'm interviewing people and I'm in front of the camera. Excellent quality. Excellent quality. It's a Sennheiser MKE 600 medium shotgun. It's superb. So I plug it into the transmitter and I have a wireless mic going back. It's recording internally, 32-bit to here, but also recording back to my iPhone. So if I'm going to be doing back and forth, I will use the Sennheiser MKE 600. Superb. And it works really well with the DJI mic too. I might try my Sennheiser lapel with my DJI, but I haven't done a recording on it after the firmware upgrade, so we'll try that first. The firmware upgrade supposedly adds more high-end to the DJI mics, but I don't know. I've been recording a lot of things, and normally I'll put this under my shirt and put the magnet on the outside. I'm not doing that anymore. If I use this, I'm going to put it on the outside because it just sounds better. It's just less muffled. Now, I'm not going to do that. So it might have this, although I'll try to get it up high as I can. But then again, where is it? This is better, but listen, you might see me doing this. I've seen a lot of people doing this, and it just sounds better. So if I have combination, I might do that. I might do, I've got another one of these coming because this one sounds pretty good. And I'll just do this. Hold it. Especially if I'm interviewing two people. But this is more impromptu. This is what it looks like. This is more impromptu, quick. If I have a time to set up, I'm going to use the Sennheiser MKE 600. It's a great microphone. It does a great job of picking up. It's a medium shotgun, so people can be a little further away, and I still pick them up clearly. But anyway, I've got one of these, another one of these, because these are not manufactured anymore, and I really like it. It's like $15 on Amazon. I'll put a link in when I do the review. I'm going to probably do the review this week in the downstairs studio. Not sophisticated, just here. Let's listen to this mic. Let's listen to this mic. What do you think? Mic 1, mic 2. I'll have 4 different mics. The built-in mic, this mic, the Hollyland lapel mic. I got a Sony mic coming and another generic microphone from Amazon coming. And then the native microphone. And we'll listen to them and compare them all. I'll do that downstairs this week. It won't take me that long. And try them all out. So this is a cool little thing. Is it better than, I think it is. I think holding this up doesn't bother me as much as doing this. But like I said, I know why they do it now, because the sound is clearer. The sound is absolutely clearer. So, but I like this a little better. And I can hide the mic. I can actually hide the mic in my hand. So all you see is this little wand like this that you'll be talking into. But we'll see how it goes. But I like microphones. I like trying them out. So the superb DJI Mic 2 system with the charging case. I love this whole system, and it's got the dial on it now. So I can click through and adjust volumes of each piece. We'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. Anyway, I know why people hold that up in front of their mouth now. I mean, I've discovered it myself. Let's go over here. Let's see who else we have. Juniper M4. Here's a little film of us on the bus going to Apple campus. And what else do we have? Well, we had lunch. This is last year we had lunch in a courtyard outside. This was not the Juniper. This was about a mile away from the Juniper. But every day they had box lunches for us. You get out of your sessions around lunchtime. They had box lunches waiting for you. They have a sandwich, potato chips, a big cookie, and some kind of drink. You can pick them up. And then you could sit out here in the patio. This was last year. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty darn good.
Live or are you just shooting?
I go live in the mornings.
Okay.
Making clips. I'm not live right now.
Awesome. It's good.
I'm going to broadcast the Apple presentation live.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sneak it in.
I'll be thrown out. I did that one time in 2017. I was Facebook live streaming from the Apple presentation at NAB. When they announced 2 million, that's my video. Yeah. I didn't ask them. I just did it.
Just did it.
But that ain't going to happen today, I know. They'll carry me out. I know that ain't going to happen.
Have a disguise for this afternoon.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to describe myself as you.
I'm not going to let you anywhere in there.
Oh, no, that's not a good idea.
So that's at the Creative Summit from last year, 2023, which has had a great time. It was the first in-person one since 2019. The last in-person one was 2019. Then we skipped 2021 and 22. They had virtual ones online. They did the 10-city tour, which kind of divided the Creative Summit up into 10 different cities, but they only got to the first 5. And last year they were back in person again. I was so glad. And this year, the one thing that I said to them is, can you get back to the Juniper Hotel? And they did come back to the Juniper Hotel. Now, last year I did a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit documentary. It's on my YouTube channel. It's like 42 minutes long, going through all the different things that happened at Creative Summits in the past up into 2023. And then 2023, I have more footage. I have lots and lots of more footage. So as we do these live streams on Saturday mornings, Final Cut TV and Coffee, this is number 80. So next week will be 81. I don't anticipate anything happening this week in the world of Final Cut Pro. The iPhone event will happen on Monday, a week from Monday. That'll happen then. We'll see what happens around the good old iPhone event. And I'll probably come back on, especially if there's any talk of Final Cut Pro there. And we'll come back on after that. Just meet up. Look, these Final Cut TV and Coffees are for the worldwide Final Cut Pro community. Okay? We have dozens and dozens of people watching live right now. A lot of people from X. 60 people over there on X are watching live. Thank you, people from X, for tuning in. And of course, YouTube, and of course, Facebook, all those platforms. We're broadcasting to all 3 platforms at once with Ecamm Live. I've been using Ecamm for years and years and years. But anyway, I have hours and hours and hours and hours of footage, interviews, behind the scenes from Creative Summits since 2016. So 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, those 4 years, and then 2023 from last year. I have more footage than anybody. I've been filming all this time. I've been doing live streams, et cetera, et cetera. So let me just show you this from one of my live streams that I did from my hotel room. This is from 2019. This is me in my hotel room doing a live stream.
Good morning, everyone. Everybody's waiting for Apple Day. All of us are, I know for sure. Good morning, Richard. I hope you have permission to spread the news. Cannot wait to hear. So, Apple Day is today. This is a little different than it has been in years past so far, but things change. We've been told things before we get to Apple Campus in the past, I think the last 2 times. Can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. We get there, and there's an exception made for a certain room. Now, the reason Apple doesn't want cameras and stuff at Apple Campus is because of employees' privacy. They don't want you videotaping and taking pictures of employees, and because employees are walking around and stuff, they don't want that. They don't allow that. Last year we had a presentation. We got to see the team in person. We're not allowed to talk about it. That's part of the deal. This year is no different. There's things that we're not going to be able to talk about, period. Until we get there, what the conditions are, what we can do, what we can't do. But right now, we're just not allowed to talk about stuff. Part of the reason you come to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is for exclusive content from Apple. This is part of the deal.
So that's typically the way that I broadcast from the hotel rooms. I'll get something set up and I'll do it. Usually in the morning is a big time because I get up, make coffee, take a shower, get ready for the day, pack my stuff, and I usually have an hour or so that I can get on, play some clips from the day before, do some more talking. But this show is about the Final Cut Pro community. This is about the worldwide Final Cut Pro community, including the Final Cut Pro team, including the Final Cut Pro team who watch this as well. So this is about the worldwide Final Cut Pro community. Everybody can come in and talk. They can leave comments. The Final Cut Pro team sees the comments. I'll post the most of them on screen. Now, I'm not sure what this means. I miss your RSS feed. Which RSS feed is that? Are you talking about Final Cut Pro Radio? That's still out there. As a matter of fact, I'm putting out an episode today, Final Cut Pro Radio, my podcast. 9 years I've been doing Final Cut Pro Radio, the Final Cut Pro Radio podcast. 9 years. I start year 10 in January 2025. Sorry, I swallowed improperly. Bye for today has been great as always. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Final Cut TV. I still get the radio feed. I think I started a Final Cut TV on podcast, but I think the audio feed's more popular. I could probably edit some of these down and put it on. Maybe I'll do that going forward. Any other comments? Anything you want to say to the Final Cut Pro team? This is the worldwide Final Cut Pro community tuned in here from all around the world. I do this for myself, but I also do it for you to give you a chance to tune in and find the latest news and talk. Tell your friends about it. Tell them to come and join us. Don't forget to subscribe over there at my YouTube channel, Richard Taylor TV. Oh, by the way, if you're going to buy a ticket for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, use this FCP alumni, get 15% off. So it brings the price down about $85, something like that, 15% off. It brings it down $85, so it's closer to $500 rather than $599. That's the trick I'm telling you today. Let me just go over here. Here we go. Well, that's a nice comment. He said, I do love these live interactions. Thank you very much. I appreciate them too. Absolutely. I have a good time. I enjoy doing the live streams. And I have the studio downstairs. This is my very comfortable studio upstairs. It's always warm in the wintertime. It's always cool in the summertime. It's, my upstairs, it's all set up. I can come in here anytime there's breaking Final Cut Pro news. I can come up here, fire up, and I'm ready to go. I don't have to set it up specifically. The downstairs studio is different, and I'm going to get down there this winter for sure. We'll do some of the live streams from down there. I'm going to do the DJI mic reviews from down there. I'm going to try to get to that this week. Let's go over here and look at this. Here we go. This is Final Cut Pro Creative Summit 2024, Juniper Hotel, November the 13th to the 15th. And let me see. Oh, yeah. And register now. You click on that. The dates. They don't have the program up yet, but it's at the Juniper Hotel. You can't register for the Juniper yet. They will have. The program's not up yet. I don't think. No, I didn't think so. And they don't have. They'll have a link up here about when the Juniper Hotel block rate comes in. You don't have to stay at the Juniper Hotel, but it's nice to stay at the Juniper Hotel. It's really, really nice. Register here, you go there, and it takes you to a place to register. Allow cookies to complete, of course. Don't forget to put your code that I put out there for you to get that percentage off. Here we go. So they're getting there. You can chat with support. The dates are announced finally. Join the Final Cut Pro community. Inspiration training for Apple users. So it includes 2 full days of cutting edge training, 1 day at Apple Park, which is you can't buy your way into Apple Park except with this ticket. access to networking Expo Night to interact with peers and local talent. Another thing that happens on Expo Night, a lot of times, a lot of these people give away their software, codes for their software for attendees of the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. So in the past, we've gotten hundreds of dollars worth of software licenses as well. But you also get 2 Final Cut Pro AI training boot camps included. You get 1 Apple certification exam voucher and prep course recording, which that in itself is worth $200. This is all included. And this is the goodie bag provided by sponsors. So it's not just the 3 days, although that's plenty right there. So it's FCP Creative Summits, plural, FCP Creative Summits, all one word, but creativesummits.plural.com. That's where you want to go ahead and register there. That's where you want to go ahead and register. Let me just pull this up. Let me see. I like to do these little screen grabs of different things so we know what's going on. There we go. There we go. Absolutely. Fantastic. So any more questions? Anybody have any more questions before we head out for the day? Anything else you want the Final Cut Pro team? Whenever I say Final Cut Pro team, that's what we do. Give them accolades. And also yourselves for tuning in, worldwide Final Cut Pro community. My name's Richard Taylor. Do I have that somewhere? Oh, yeah, there you go. That's me. Hey, that's me. This is one of my strats over there. 71, 72, I forget which, maybe 73. And then behind me, I have a 69 Strat. Those are my 2 favorites. I also have a The Paul, not a Les Paul, but a The Paul Firebrand Gibson that I really, really like a lot. Sometimes I play those on the show. Sometimes I don't. I'll work out something else. But anyway, we're going to get out of here for today. What time is it? Yeah, we'll stay on for 2 hours, another few more minutes. And we have a great time. I have a great time. I have a great time talking to all of you. I love your comments. I love your comments. Like I said, the Final Cut Pro team watches this. We have 81 people watching live right now. Thank you, Richard. Good times. Thank you, Sean Beckner, for tuning in. Absolutely. Anything else you want to say? You want to say anything to the Final Cut Pro team? They're watching. You know, what's interesting, whenever I do transcriptions, oh, by the way, over there on X, nobody's over there on X. He gave me 3 thumbs up. It's fantastic. We do have a Final Cut Pro community over there. We do have a Final Cut Pro community. You have to search for it. We got 140 people, I think, by now for almost after 2 hours. Thanks, Richard. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks each and every one of you for tuning in. Absolutely. I come here for you. I come here for myself. Talk Final Cut Pro, talk shop, let you know the latest that's going on. We did an interview with LumaFusion, Terry and Chris from LumaFusion last week. They're going to be on the Final Cut Pro Radio podcast. That will be up a little bit later today on your favorite Final Cut Pro aggregators. Thank you so much. I'm going to get out of here, finish up. Every Saturday, 12 noon for the time being. We'll be back. Final Cut TV and Coffee. Please subscribe over there to YouTube channel. Give the old thumbs up on the YouTube channel. It is appreciated. And I don't think we'll do anything this week. I might put the mic review up of the DJI mics when I get those. But probably no Final Cut Pro news. The soonest we see Final Cut Pro news probably is for the Apple event next week. So I don't see you before then. I'll see you next Saturday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.